Oh, hi. This is the Hake Report. No, it's uh, it's 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and it is Tuesday, the 8th of July. Happy White History Month. Who's your White History Month hero? And who's your White History Zero? All are welcome. You can be negative here on the Hake Report. You can be a negative Nancy, a negative nagger. Nagger's welcome, kind of, sort of. The N word that should never be said, nuclear. Um, AD 2025, and I appreciate JLP for the redirect over um on what? Oh, I wonder. No, I probably can't. Maybe I should try it though. I'm gonna see if I'm a little bit late in doing this. Set raid, Hake. Boom. I set up a raid. We'll see if it works. I don't know. Because it didn't automatically push me over on pilled.net. I am a boomer. I set up that raid. I don't know. Let me see. Am I live? Oh, wait. Pardon me. Complicated business, folks. Oh, here, let me go over here. And, Hake. Come on. Where's Hake? Where's Hake? Yes. Whatever. It's 9:02 already. Whatever. I'm going to be taking your calls if you'd like to call in. Some of you are already on hold. 1-888-775-3773. This is mildly amusing. Well, here. That's a turtle. That's a tortoise. Is that life size? The thing is bigger than me. I don't think so. I think it's smaller than it looks. Well, depending on the size of your screen. It's I have to disclaim everything that you hear on the Hake Report because I don't represent myself, and much less do the callers represent me, you know? And on top of that, oh, let me mute this because I yap here too much. And on top of that, there's super chatters who are a mess. There's the Snake Pit. Shout out to the Snake Pit. They did appear. The Snake Pit appeared in the Rumble live chat of Ethan Ralph's kill stream live, on which I appeared yesterday afternoon, evening, last night. I was there for just about an hour and a half. Ethan Ralph streams pretty much daily on the kill stream. I've been on his show multiple times, pardon me. I've been on his show multiple times. JLP has been on his show multiple times. And he's been on JLP's show multiple times. Ethan Ralph, The Ralph Retort was his blog. He's a pretty good writer, actually. But he's an excellent radio host, and not necessarily for the kids. But if the kids can handle some cussing without monkey see, monkey do necessarily, you know, you want to have some self-control. You don't necessarily want to be cussing in inopportune places and times and with people, kids, ladies, gents. Then it's a great show. I do recommend it. Sometimes it's drama, but sometimes it's quite informative and interesting. He had this guest on multiple times, I believe, Legal Man, and it was so interesting I recommended him for The Fallen State, and then he was on The Fallen State. Legal Man. He has a real name too, but anyway, he was in a movie too. So yeah, no endorsement or disavowal or condemnation is implied by Bond or JLP or the Radio JLP's network or anything of the sort. But I personally am a fan of Ethan Ralph. Look at all that moving, all that, so fast. Why is it doing that? What do I have it on like double speed or something? Let me just double check this mess. Normal. Playback speed is normal. So why am I moving around so crazy? It was in July of last year. this footage. We're just getting distracted a little bit by this video footage. So hope you enjoy the show. Why is it still like that? Is it frozen in the world? Let me do this real quick. I'm a bit of a boomer here. There. That's fixed. Thank you, JLP. Pastor Chatelet rating the stream over on Rumble. What's up, Commander Kim, Age of Inversion, Dustin Cross, WT1, Buddy 1205. What's up, Elmo? He says Ralph is scum. Yeah, well, he doesn't deny it. Scum is nice sometimes, and scum has something to contribute. Scum lives matter. Scum matters. God loves scum. You're not a boomer. Stop lying, says Alan. It's true. It's terrible. He's strolling through a fire hazard. I'm looking at the Golden Rule TV and others in chat. Yeah, so I'm walking through Bonelli Park in beautiful San Dimas, California last year. I should go back over there. It's fun. It's nice. It's beautiful. I reminisce. It's nostalgic. I used to have to run this. Oh, look, coyote scat or some type of poop. Anyway, I can relate to the young lady who called at the end of the JLP show all distraught because she, like what Jesus said to Peter, you're young, you go where you want, but when you're old, you will go where you are not, where you do not want to go. And so this lady in JLP show didn't want to go to the old folks' home, to senior living, with these crotchety senior ladies who don't mind their own business. She's used to being independent, but now she has to sell her home and has some health issues and now she's her peace or illusion of peace was from her worldly comforts and stuff, and now she doesn't want to give it up. It's horrible. Anyway, guys, happy White History Month. And without too much further ado to you and you and you, let's just get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. And I have my Nevada t-shirt on. And yes, it's Nevada. It's not Nevada. I'm pretty sure. Nevadans call it Nevada. The Silver State, by the way. And you can almost see the outline of California, the Golden State. California. I won't tell you where I got it. I think I got it in like Nevada. Or maybe almost Arizona. But you can also super chat. I think I may or may not have seen some super chats come in. Yes, indeed. One or two have come in. In fact, let me just read this real quick. Carver says on buymeacoffee.com / the Hake Report that, what does he say? I have to refresh it. Thank you, Cesar or Cesar, as always. Carver says, hey, Hake, was great to see you on the Kill stream. Glad you're doing appearances again. They're always fun and hope you get back to doing them often. Thanks, man. Ralph seemed like a good guy and it was pretty cool. He didn't mind the snake pit taking over his chat and scaring all his respectable viewers into silence. Interesting. Yeah, I saw quite a few of you. I saw Ivana, Carver, others. And he was reading Carver's chats. Carver got him talking about one of my favorite topics, the flat Earth. But I do appreciate and value Mark's advice to drop the flat Earth stuff. And others, William, no nonsense men, you know? They're no nonsense. My no nonsense viewers. I can appreciate no nonsense men. And I do consider their advice. And so I pray. If I pray at all, I pray not to be led astray too deeply into the flat Earth nonsense. But I love God's creation. If I love anybody or anything. The obvious globe drop horizon. That's where it curves. It curves beyond the horizon. It's just a tiny segment. How much curve do you expect to see? But anyway, I just did it. So much for prayer. So much for that prayer, huh? Okay. Wow. Terrible. You people in the snake pit. Thank you kindly, Carver, as always, man. Thanks, Gregatron, Lin Yan Chin, Cesar, Jermaine, Popcorn, JC, and the rest of the faithful viewers, supporters, commenters, and all of that. Very nice. And you know what? One thing also maybe worth watching is from yesterday's kill stream is several minutes after I left the kill stream yesterday, Ethan Ralph, the host, played a clip of JLP, and I won't play it, I guess, for the sake of taste, for the sake of the kids and the ladies and radio decency. I am on TalkStream Live, by the way, the TalkStream Live app, and JLP's listen line. I'm on his network. I won't play it because he does cuss. I don't mind the cussing. I like cussing people. I like people cussing. But I don't play it on my show, right? For the decency. Time and place. But he was playing Ye's appearance in church where Ye is asked by JLP, "Who are you?" "I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a king, I'm a billionaire, visionary." He didn't say that, but he said things like that about himself in the past. All of which is true. Is he a king? And he said, "You've said what you do, but who are you?" And Ralph is like, "Oh, I went through this same thing with JLP," because Ralph was interviewed by JLP multiple times on the Jesse Lee Peterson show less than a couple years back. Right about 2 years ago. And he's like, "Man, is this guy picking on me?" You start taking it personally. You start getting defensive, but he's not being mean. You feel like he's being mean to you. You feel like this guy attacking me? Is this guy clowning me? Is she trying to expose me? But no, it's not personal. It's trying to get you to see. And that's what Ralph basically expressed. You start this guy's picking on me. Why is he being mean to me? Basically. So and also he considered, I'm famous. Ralph is fairly famous, and Ye is somewhat famous, a little bit. And so is he trying to? This is going to be out there. All these people are going to see me. But no, if you can calm down for a second and take the conversation for what it is, then you're not assigning a false value to yourself. And isn't that nice? Yes, it's nice. So shout out to Real Conversation. So cool. And that's why, that's one of the things that I expressed to Ralph is that I appreciate. Epstein and all this stuff. I've never cared about the Epstein thing. The abortion going out of control, the blacks being sinking deeper into their delusions that this racism thing is so real and it's not them. It's not us, it's you. It's not you, it's me. It doesn't matter. Oh, Trump winning or Trump losing, it doesn't matter. What matters is, to you, it seems like it should be your own life. And so when it brings it back to you, then there's hope, unless you're just hopeless. And maybe that's what you need to go through, which is cool. So that's the notion of peace in the world, peace on earth, goodwill towards men. Isn't that what the angels said? Something like that? Peace on earth, goodwill towards men with the coming of Jesus. You can have peace on earth and goodwill towards men, and the ladies, of course, using the term loosely. Goodwill towards the ladies, toward the ladies, if you're American, towards, I guess, if you're English. So, right on. And there's people also seeing it, too. People also seeing the truth of like real, actual love, not the phony stuff. Not the phony hippie or emotional or false hope of love, false promise, but the real love, real thing. That's cool. So that's what I appreciate about JLP, and I think that others do too. You hear it from Pearl, you hear it from Ethan, and others. So you can take back your scum comment, Elmo, and put it up your nose. Sorry. Shout out. Okay, so coffee from Carver. Hey guys. Nevada. And the disclaimer, all of those things knocked out. Let me get on the phone with Hayden in Tejas, Texas, who's on the line here. Hayden, thank you for calling and holding. How's it going?
How are you, Hake?
Doing fine. Thanks, man.
Good. So did I hear you say that Kanye, and who's this Hassan guy that came to church Sunday?
Hassan is the former engineer for the JLP show. He actually engineered my show too. He was the board operator over here. And so now that I'm doing my own thing, and I've been doing my own thing meaning I'm managing this very boomerishly. I'm able to show my super chats and stuff. And that has been happening for like a year-ish. So before that, it was Hassan doing it for me, and other engineers have done it over the years for me. So yeah, he did that, but he's also a talented rapper, producer type of a guy, artist type of a guy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Hassan.
Wow, I didn't know
Hassan
that.
Kafaf.
Yeah, I remember his name now that you mentioned it. I thought it sounded like it may have been one of your competitors, if you know who I'm talking about.
Hassan Piker. No, this has two S's. This is the good Hassan.
Oh, good.
Both of those Hassans have been on the Fallen State with JLP. Did you know?
I know. I've seen it. I saw the Piker one. Isn't Piker gay?
I don't know. I don't think so. He does come off very effeminate because he's liberal and communist. But I don't know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I heard something about him being in a same-sex relationship or something. I don't know.
There's always rumors. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know.
How did the thing go with Kanye? Was he calm?
Yeah, it was very chill. It was low key. It was
Wow.
It was appropriate for church. It was just all spiritual seeking and finding, which is nice.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad it went well.
Yeah.
He has his moments where he just goes off. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah. Have you ever caught church with JLP? Are you familiar
I've
with it?
watched clips of it. I've watched clips of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched a full thing on it, but I get alerts whenever he's going live on either YouTube or X.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't think I mean I've heard nothing but good stuff about it though.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out if you ever have a hankering for it or whatever, for hearing some wisdom, and it's cool because it's conversation. People,
Right? Yeah.
it's similar to the calls on the radio show, on Jesse's radio show, where people are having an issue and they're getting some help, much needed, eye-opening input. So it's cool.
Right, but it's in person. It's like a reflection type thing.
That's right.
It's
Very
pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just heard you talk about the Kanye thing. I didn't know about that, but the reason I wanted to ask you about I've been seeing some things about Trump in the news. I forget where he was. I forget where he was last week, but he didn't use these exact words. But he was talking about deporting naturalized citizens and natural-born citizens. Did you hear something along the lines of that in the media?
Naturalized citizens and natural-born citizens?
Yeah, like naturalized meaning like immigrants that came here from other countries and stuff.
Yeah, and then they went through the process to become citizens.
Right.
What was he saying?
It was along the he didn't use those exact words about like naturalized and natural born, but I mean, he was beating around the bush that that's the term they use about deporting them. The criminal ones.
I had heard something about that. I haven't looked into it. That he is considering deporting people who become citizens, but they commit crimes. I think.
And that's natural born as well too.
Revoking their citizenship. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Revoking the citizenship of natural-born citizens. Interesting.
Yep.
Wow. I kind of like that. England...
I really like that.
That's what England did. That's how Australia was conceived, I think. Australia was a penal colony, I think. It was a prison. They would get shipped over. These criminals would get shipped over to that island, I heard. And I'm sure there must have been some prison guards, right? Were there any prison guards or did they just have to fend for themselves and be their own criminal country, and they became a respectable country, actually? I don't know.
In England or Australia?
Australia. The English sent their criminals to Australia, I heard.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But that's an interesting thing. And would he revoke my citizenship because I'm a natural born son of natural born son of some of them were natural born. I think my grandparents and great grandparents many of them were natural born. I don't know how many of them. Some of them are from.
No, I don't think he would. I don't think he would revoke yours. I think he's
he
talking
might.
About it.
I mean, depending on what I did, it's interesting. But yeah,
right,
there's some like anchor
babies.
He might be talking about anchor babies, because a lot of these anchor babies, you can call them American. They were born here, raised here. This is all they know. But do they really have the same loyalty and American?
Do they look
spirit?
American?
No, they don't. They don't look, nor do they act, nor do they think American.
Right.
There's an Americanized that is. I don't know if you've ever heard Americanized with a negative connotation, but it has a negative connotation in terms of some of these more traditional cultures, like even the Latinos and the Asians. Sometimes they refer to one another or themselves as Americanized, like it's sort of a bad thing, meaning they've fallen into the disrespectful millennial and younger degeneracy of the pop culture. So
yeah, well, whenever like I see people on social media saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of these illegals." Illegals. They always use the word illegals, but I'm like, how about the people here? I put in quote unquote legally. I always answered that comment.
Yeah,
as well. We have some pretty bad people that are here, quote unquote, legally. Why don't we get rid of them too? And supposedly Trump is with that as well. So I mean, that's great news for us Americans.
Yeah. Part of why I like that he brings up stuff like this is it changes how people think. And it changes how
and
people
it helps us
allow
a lot
them.
too.
Like it's stuff that that a lot of people have never even thought of. Normal boomer people, Tea Party people, even me, I was in the group of, it's just the illegals I don't want. The regular immigrants
Right.
are fine. Although I kind of knew that the regular immigrants and children of their children and grandchildren tend to be more
They're
liberal.
just as much of a problem.
Yeah, they tend to be liberal or criminal. Like Muslims who come here, humble, quiet, but their children end up committing the terror attacks oftentimes.
Right.
Second generation or whatever it's called. They're the ones who are the problem because they come up really disrespectful and brainwashed in our education system. So it's not just the immigration, it's also the education is a mess. We have an entrenched enemy in America, in the government, in everywhere. So it's crazy.
Right. And Trump's said this many times. People think that another leader of the past said, and he might have said this before, but these are Trump's words. We have the enemy from within. We have the enemy from within in our country right now, and they're, quote unquote, legalized citizens, and that's a scary part. We have these invaders in our country right now, and I hope, this whole thing with the big beautiful bill, upping up the mass deportation and stuff. I hope, we get rid of these people that only want the wars for our country.
Yeah. True.
So,
I hope so too.
Definitely. Are you a fan of the big beautiful bill?
I'm indifferent to it. Since Trump is for it, I'm somewhat for it. There are aspects to it that I've heard about that I like. There's of course, I'm sure a whole lot of stuff in there. Crap, if you don't mind my saying, kids, that is not good. But increasing spending on the border security, and I'm fine with increasing, which is good. And I'm fine with increasing spending on some of the defense stuff. I get that there's like a whole racket going there with the defense thing, but as long as we don't get, which Trump doesn't tend to do, sucked into full bore into these costly and violent wars, then I'm fine with having a strong defense. A strong defense is that keeps peace. When a whole lot of cops show up, nobody tries anything. When there's few cops around, people try stuff. So I kind of, same idea with the military. If we're a strong military, then these other strong people are less likely to try something. If we, I like that those two. I like those two aspects of the big beautiful bill, but I haven't read a thing about it. How about you?
Yeah. For the most part, what I've heard, I am a fan of it. Of course, the tax cuts coming our way too.
Oh yeah, that's cool too.
Of course, the Democrats are against that. Trump says all the time that when he was growing up, the Democrats used to say, "Oh, we're cutting your taxes," but now they're saying that we're going to raise your taxes. Whenever they have power.
Yeah.
So of course they're against it now.
Right.
So we have tax cuts coming our way, and what you said about the whole border thing. That's called necessary spending. I don't care if my tax dollar goes towards that kind of stuff,
That's what the government is for, is to enforce the borders, I think.
Right.
I mean, that's one of the basics that if you're supposed to have a government, one of the basics is you're supposed to have a country. And as Trump said, if you don't have borders and you don't have enforce the laws on the immigration situation, then you don't have a country. And our country's culture has been totally supplanted and subverted by enemies within and without. Even though they're nice enemies, Elmo referred to somebody earlier this show as scum, and a lot of these people are scum. They're nice.
Yep.
They're nice. I like them. I've met many of them, but their values are trash. It's just true.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. No, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
But whites have been told for the longest time, because the majority white countries are the only ones who are encouraged to leave our borders open. I mean, everyone can see that now. And then for the longest time, we've been told that we have no culture. We need cultural enriching, or however they put it. And whites are waking up to it in large numbers now. And so I hope that history repeats itself, and we take back our countries completely. And I believe that's a likely scenario.
You think so?
Whites are gonna, I do. I really do. I noticed the numbers and quote unquote pro-white whichever movement a person's a part of, and it's growing more and more support every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. I believe that whites have a lot more work to do, especially upcoming midterms and of course in 2028. But I think that we are going in the right direction. If we had gotten Harris, we would be in a much different and worse spot as a country. She would have let all these foreigners come in and try to change her. They were trying to change our demographic here in America.
Yeah.
They wanted the white population to go down.
True.
But as long as we maintain power, and we'll be on the right track. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, I would say.
Nice. I don't share your optimism as to the overall direction of the country. I don't think that we're going to get it back, really. I appreciate Trump. I think that his purpose is to awaken the few and do some practical good building in the long run. He is actually, honestly,
Right.
I have to tell you this, Hayden. It's White History Month. I was thinking about this morning after I woke up. He's my white history hero, at least for today.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he really is. Because I don't know if you've heard your fellow whites, but some of them are like, what has he done for the Aryan white man? But that type of thinking is so black. Blacks think like that. He's done the stuff that's good for all. Because he's a boomer, that's how boomers do. That's how whites do, honestly. Whites are fair to everybody. And ideally, they don't shy away from being fair and decent to their fellow whites, rather than calling them racist and dumb stuff. But he has called people racist, I admit. But he is a good-natured person. He is a builder. He's made a lot of jobs. He's built a lot in this country. And as president, he's done even better. He's built those hotels and things and employed thousands and thousands of people, I imagine, and he made it nice. He didn't allow these homeless veterans to be camped out in front of making it unpleasant in front of his hotel, which doesn't sound nice, but you sometimes have to do what doesn't sound nice in order to keep your area nice and neighborly and a place that you want to go to. You don't want to go to a place that has homeless veterans even, or homeless bums. And shout out to the veterans and shout out to the homeless, but you don't belong in front of a beautiful hotel making it polluting the atmosphere.
Right.
It's just true. And so and he discriminated. He was sued for discrimination. He discriminated on behalf of his tenants so that they might have some good neighbors and they would be good tenants to him. Because you don't want trashy people in your, whether they're black or Hispanic or maybe even sometimes white or Asian. You don't want trashy neighbors as your fellow neighbors living in Trump Tower, or you don't want bad tenants. So he had standards. He had good discriminating taste. And that is good for white civilization and for civilization, period, for all. So he's a white history hero. And again, as president, he just shone a light as a real person. He exposed these rhinos as rhinos. I had no idea Ted Cruz was a rhino. And until I saw how phony he was in contrast with how real Trump is. And all the rest of them, too. They're all a bunch of phony politicians. So he's a white history hero.
Yeah. I would say I like Cruz more than what's his name? Rubio.
Right.
In Trump's cabinet.
Same.
I would definitely say he just comes across more based, you know?
Yep. He does come off that way. I definitely did not like Rubio. I thought he was like a Gang of Eight, pro-immigration, kiss up to the racism stuff, phony guy. He tried to act like Trump at one point, which was really embarrassing in the 2016 election and the primaries. When he was debating Trump, it was so embarrassing. But
those debates were so iconic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Little Marco and Lion Ted. I totally agree with you on your assessment, but it's basically, yeah, Ted Cruz is the top of the dung pile, but he's still like dung. Shout out. I really appreciate these guys, especially those Republicans or Republicans who work with Trump, because I can't. When I'm here, I can't really. If I stop and pause, I can't judge them. They're just weak, and most people are weak when it comes down to it. They cave to pressure,
right,
and stuff like that. Whereas Trump is much more tested and strong, not to cave to pressure so badly as these people do. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But I still don't think that the country's going to turn around. I think that he's going to help awaken the few, be a light in a dark place, and that's nice. It's kind of like the Kingdom of Israel, or back in the day, the Israelites. They had good kings and they had evil kings, and the people were also very wishy-washy. Sometimes they remembered God and did what was right, and they succeeded. Most of the time, they got spoiled and forgot. I feel like that's what's happening to America.
You think so?
I really do, man. But either way, I don't know if you caught the JLP show. This woman was feeling patriotic because finally we don't have so much globalism running America. We have a man who's for the country more than he is against the country in Trump, and that makes her feel patriotic. But she felt less proud when we had globalism running the show. But you don't want to be swayed internally in your outlook on life by the state of your country. You want to be strong despite the state of your country, or regardless of whether the country's doing well or not. And that'll help. And that'll actually, incidentally, help strengthen the country, because you'll be another light, regardless of how the country's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't place my full trust in Trump. You know, I voted for him because I just couldn't stand to see Harris, you know, be our president or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, Netanyahu did just nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I love that.
Saw that or not?
I did see that. I know that you're probably not a fan of Netanyahu, but
I'm not.
I think that if anybody deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, it is Trump.
I agree with that.
With the deals that he's made in the Middle East and in Africa, of all places. Who ever knew about Africa? But they have crazy wars going on in Africa, and this deal with Rwanda and some other country, I forget which. But that's nice, and that shows he's a man of peace, much more so than like Obama, who is a crazy person for like leaving our own soldiers to get killed. So he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, and I personally think of Bibi as a manly person, and I don't think that any genocide of children can take that away from him. He's manly. I don't care about any genocide. That's a liberal word anyway. Shout out. I know it sounds cold and harsh, and people are like, oh, but I don't buy that. It's like a liberal word. Do you think it's a genocide what he did in Gaza? Personally? I won't shame you for saying it.
No, I really don't have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
but what I was focused on mainly was I just hated the U.S. involvement in their war, and
Right.
like the U.S. intervening whenever Israel starts a war, is in a war or whatever. I just that's what I really focus on whenever I hear that kind of news.
But that's
So I mean,
been the
I
rule.
just
That's been the rule for probably decades, I think, ever since they've existed. It
yeah,
seems like.
I understand.
Yeah. So I just don't expect any different. But the only
Right.
difference I expect is that Trump is wiser and more restrained and more independent thinking rather than knee-jerk, phony, bipartisan, we stand with Israel. I think Trump is more
I agree
genuine.
with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah. So
There have been wars. I think Bush was probably a little bit more for Israel than Trump is, if you ask me.
interesting. Yeah, but not necessarily in the right way, because there's a right and wrong way. If you're going to support a country, there's a right and a wrong way to do it. There's got to be, unless it's absolutely wrong to support any country. Which, if
Right.
you, like in your case and in like Bill Lockwood's maybe case, a little bit to an extent, we shouldn't be supporting. We shouldn't be sending money or anything to these other countries. And you may be right about that. I don't take that away from you at all. I just still think that Bibi's, as politicians go on the world stage, yeah, I prefer him to a lot of these others. He's like, Trump is more real than him, I guess. But Bibi's Bibi and Putin. Those guys are just part of the reason
Yeah,
that
I
I
don't
like
mind
them is they're
Putin.
hated.
I don't mind Putin.
Yeah. I like them because they're hated, but I also like them because there's something manly about them. Whereas all these others are just total just girls. Even though they're grown men.
Yeah.
They're just women. There's others. Hungary, I think, has a good guy, or Poland, maybe both of those countries. Those guys are solid. I'm not sure about Bolsonaro. I'm not even sure, honestly. I'm not convinced about the El Salvador politician, the guy who's running El Salvador. I kind of like him,
Oh yeah.
but I'm cautious about him because he may just be a slick, young, used car salesman type of based guy. You know, I don't trust him totally, but he may be good. Time will tell.
Maybe I need to look into it some more.
Yeah.
But one more thing I want to ask you that do you believe this whole thing with Epstein? Patel said about him.
Not necessarily.
I don't think anyone in the country believes what he came out and said the other day.
Kash Patel is the
about,
guy who's running the FBI, right? Or he's one of the top guys at the FBI, maybe the top guy. And
he's the director.
wow. Okay, so yeah, this Indian guy. But okay, Trump appointed him, and he's pretty solid sometimes. But Kash Patel said what? That Epstein, there was no flight logs, or there was no what? I forget what he said, but that he did kill himself. Epstein did kill himself, which I can believe. I don't take that away. I don't know. And people say, oh, he didn't kill himself, but we don't know. I don't think. And then something about, oh, we can't release the documents. I thought I heard that somebody said that Trump said that we don't want to release something that has like false information because there could be some false information in there. It could be really damaging.
That doesn't sound good.
It could be damaging to people's reputation. And I could believe that. It's just because honestly, it's all it is potential blackmail content. And blackmail content could have false info in it. And nobody's really going to care. They'll get mad for a while. Let's say the country finds out that so-and-so did such and such with somebody over on the Epstein Island. People get mad for a while. They'll judge them, and they'll still be blind, and the country will still go down the tubes. Nothing's going to happen. The problem with the country is not that people have a lack of knowledge of what's going on or that the people are not angry enough. And all that's going to happen is people are going to know what somebody supposedly did, and people are going to be angry about it. And neither of those things, it's basically gossip and anger. And gossip and anger doesn't fix the country. So I think that it's a moot point. I
I
personally
don't know. He said that there was that there is no list, there is no Epstein list, and that he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And but you want to hear something?
Yeah.
I was in New York City the day he died.
Oh, really?
Epstein. I
Were you visiting Rikers Island?
No.
Did you do him? Are you Mossad?
No.
I'm just kidding around.
No, I'm not Assad. I was there. We were like literally 4 or 5 blocks away from where he was being held, and the news came out, and it was craziness down there. It was craziness.
Wow.
But yeah, it was pretty wild being there the day he died. But
rest in peace. He was a good-looking guy. He used to rub elbows though with I heard he was. I'm quite sure he was Jewish, right? Jeffrey Epstein. You have to be Jewish practically to be white and liberal. And he supported the Democrats, and he supported Harvard or one of those universities. And what a shame! He shouldn't have killed himself, or they shouldn't have killed him if they killed him. I don't know.
Well, Dan Bongino said that they were gonna. I don't know.
Also in the Trump administration, right? He's an assistant in the FBI or something. Bongino.
Yeah, I forget what his title is exactly.
Yeah.
But he said he either said he's seen the footage about the prison during the time he killed himself or was killed or whatever.
Right.
Or he said he was going to release the footage. I still haven't seen it. Have you seen the footage of inside the jail cell?
No, I haven't. I feel like I might have seen like a screenshot of a jail cell, but that's all I maybe saw, and that I'm not even sure if I saw that. I just remember hearing that. The cameras malfunctioned, which was not surprising. At a poorly run.
Yeah, the guards fell asleep.
Yeah, and that's also not surprising at a poorly run jail in New York City.
Oh my Lord! See, I just don't buy it. I really don't.
Yeah.
And
I buy it.
I
totally buy it because incompetence is quite common. Oh, in terms of a cover-up, I'm sure there's stuff that they're not telling us, but that's fine. That's their prerogative. I trust the government.
Oh no,
I'm kidding about that. I'm kidding about that, but I just don't see what's done is done. Like I'm not going to go to Epstein Island, unfortunately. Who owns it now? Does the state own it? Imagine owning an island.
I really don't know.
I said unfortunately, but I haven't even been to Costa Rica or Puerto Rico or Mexico.
Yeah, I don't think you want to get to Epstein Island.
It sounds like it must have been somewhat beautiful for people to be going.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. It is a good, area and stuff. But
I don't even want to go to the Caribbean or the Caribbean because I don't trust. There's people who die. There's all this crime. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a perfect place to commit crime, if you will. It's like it's on its own literal island.
Other reason for resisting this Epstein thing is everybody's been all over it. The media got in on it, and partly the media got in on it because it was this women's victimhood stuff or girls' victimhood, and I just roll my eyes and scoff at that because the woman who allegedly committed suicide or reportedly did recently, Virginia Giuffre, she got, I saw on X, according to Michael Tracy, she got all this money from Epstein, from all these different people, and she was on TV talking about us women are not going to let these men get away with this. When Epstein had a woman who helped him, and she herself, when she became of age, because she was adopted by them or she was hired by them at 15 or so, and she started training other young girls how to act or something like that and hang out with these guys. So she was a victim perpetrator. And that's what victims end up being. They become victim perpetrators. So I'm not jumping on that, oh, they're children bandwagon, because they're runaways, they had bad parents. I would hope that that if I have kids and a daughter, that I would raise her that she wouldn't run away and turn into a sex slave or whatever these women allegedly were. You know what I mean? I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of phoniness. It's just drama and we can say that our politicians are all bought and paid for and blackmailed. So what? What are we going to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it other than just not
Yeah.
trust them, which we already know not to trust the government. You can see plainly that Joe Biden was a phony without calling him a PDF file, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there is evidence to support that. We've seen videos.
Right, but that's not
him
even really
sniffing kids and
evidence.
stuff.
That's just people getting into their heads about how he behaved, which was a little old folksy and handsy.
Right. Yeah. I was just playing. I
Yeah.
don't really call him that. I just the videos are somewhat a little sketchy though. But I
Right.
mean, one last question. So
Yeah.
if Patel is correct about there's no Epstein list, why is Epstein's girlfriend still in jail? That's a question everyone's asking.
That woman who allegedly helped him with the sex trafficking or whatever they claimed that it was.
Yeah, I forget her name. Is it Wendy something? Lisa, Wendy something. I forget her name now.
Epstein girlfriend. You're talking about that woman, right? Who helped recruit these gals.
Yeah.
Epstein girlfriend. Come on, Ghislaine Maxwell or Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
Ghislaine. I think it's Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, what does it say? She was heavily involved in managing his properties and social life. Best friend in 2003. She was described. Charged and convicted 5 counts in her role of so-called sexual abuse of minor girls, including sex trafficking, they call it, of a minor, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and 3 related conspiracy charges. Sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Okay, so, you're saying that if it was abuse of the minors, who were the abusers of the minors?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if nothing went on, as Patel is saying,
Right.
then why, if he could just get a pardon her?
It's not that nothing went
is that
on,
what's
it's
gonna
that
happen?
they don't have a list, according to Patel. According to
Well,
what you're saying.
see,
Patel.
yeah, that's so sketchy,
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to. I'm sorry for taking up too much of your
No,
time.
you're fine. It was all interesting stuff, man. I appreciate it.
Nice. And I'll call in tomorrow. I have another thing I want to talk about as well if I could tomorrow. So
Cool, man.
I'll
I
save
look
that for
forward
tomorrow,
to it.
I guess.
Yeah. Thanks, Hayden.
Thank you so much, Hake.
All right. Bye. Okay, little announcement. We're nearing the top of the hour. I'm going to be on at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 Central, 9 Eastern. I'm going to be on Coffee Talk with Sandra tonight on her show. She's a longtime supporter of JLP and Hake. If you go to thehakereport.com, here, let me get rid of that. Thehakereport.com/appearances. You can check out the Killstream appearance. I have the link to the live stream, the Rumble live stream. Prior to that, I hadn't been on anybody's show, I guess, since November of 2024, before Trump got reelected. On the Hippy Dippy Roundtable, I appeared. And I wasn't on the Trump-Kamala debate back in September last year on Drunken Peasants. I started to do it, but I was feeling sick or something. I forget. But yeah, I'll be on Coffee Talk with Sandra today. She's on Rumble, I believe, DLive, pilled.net, allmylinks.com/Coffee Talk with Sandra. Nice. So do check that out. Sweet. Thehakereport.com/appearances. Right on. Let me just refresh my coffees over here. What's up, Carver? Nice to see you, man. Let me just double check over on Streamlabs. Okay, over on buymeacoffee.com / the Hake Report, Cesar or Cesar. 3 coffees. Sup, Hake? Couple random points and questions. One, if you had to play your scenery video where you're doing the Darth Vader Luke Skywalker impersonation, don't lower it or call it yapping. I think it's so funny. Okay. Did I do that? Luke, I am your father. No, it's impossible. Oh, yeah, because when I said the earth is flat earthers, the earth is a ball and it's spinning through space. That's why the sun disappears below the horizon. No, it's impossible. Thank you, Cesar or Cesar. 2, if you play regular music again as part of your outro, please play Jesus Washed Judas Feet. Jesus Washed Judas Feet. Why can't you forgive 2? Why can't you forgive 2? Why can't you forgive 2? Lust Control. Man, I love that song. And thank you for introducing it to me last year. Lust Control, Jesus Washed Judas, apostrophe, feet. I skipped the apostrophe. But, okay. I bet you I can find it on YouTube. Hopefully this doesn't be loud. Let me turn down the volume a touch, I guess. And here we go. Jesus Washed Judas Feet. Lust Control. It's a Christian band. Yeah. I think that's it. There's a couple of them. I like this one. Oh, okay. Hold on. Complicated business. It's muted. Why did you forgive 2? Why did you forgive 2? Why did you forgive 2?
Jesus knew he was the devil from the start. Jesus knew he was the devil from the start. Even when you know your brother is wrong, love your enemies, love your enemies, love your enemies, love your enemies. Discipline and love, discipline and love, discipline and love, discipline and love.
Thank you, Lust Control and whoever made this video, fan music video, Lust Control official posted it. Nice. Originally made and uploaded by 18 minutes. A short but powerful message. Yeah, they're Christian. They must be liberals, right? Because they're musicians. Right on, Cesar or Cesar. There it is. Fun feeling. Okay, going back to the coffee. 3, did you know MLK Jr. had a close advisor who was a Jewish communist who also helped write his speeches, like the I Have a Dream speech? I heard that from, what's his name? Chad. Who is it, Chad? O. Jackson. Yeah. And let me ask you, hey, which decade was the worst this country has been through? Probably the 2010s. But I don't know. The 2020s are, we'll see what happens. The 2010s were real bad. 2010, 2009 was pretty bad. 2010, though, pretty bad. 2011, pretty bad. 2012 was real bad. Because that was the first Black Lives Matter rumblings. Because George Zimmerman killed Trayvon Martin in self-defense in something like February of 2012, I want to say. 2014, awful. Another wave of Black Lives Matter. It was an insurrection of Black Lives Matter over Mike Brown. Terrible. And Obama was in there stoking the flames of hate, black hate. Terrible. And media was all in on it. And the rhinos did nothing. They were cowards. The Tea Party was trying to do a little protest, but it was pretty weak. We had Ted Cruz. He was our hero. And then Trump came along in 2016. So it was also a great time. And he brought us out of the darkness into the light. But then 2020 cast back into darkness in 2020. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard there were horrible things going on in past decades as well, but it was nationwide insurrection, Black Lives Matter, Antifa in 2020, nationwide, many, many cities, and destruction. So I think that's a sign of a major decline. So maybe the 2020s. Oh, but you know, the 1860s were no cakewalk. The 1860s was civil war. That might be the worst. 600,000 of your American brothers died killing each other. That might be worse. But the spiritual death of the country today, with the LGBTIQ, self-indulgent pornography and self-indulgent mutual using each other of relationships and encouraging that selfishness in relationships today, the phoniness of the Christians, it's horrible today. It feels like it might be worse. I get that times were tougher and they were killing each other physically, and they probably hated each other. They probably had a lot of hate. There was probably even some degeneracy in the 1860s, but now we have spoiled, completely forgotten God, all into self, even the Christians today. So in these times, the best of times, the worst of times, Cesar or Caesar. What are your numbers for? I'm seeing 2s and stuff. There's my stream. Let me just double check my stream. Supposedly excellent connection. Let me check on here. Any time before air conditioning was pretty bad, says White Wings 1776. Indeed. Who also says Epstein was a super creep. I know, you're being ethnocentric. He couldn't help it. That's his culture. Terrible. Maybe she had Stockholm Syndrome. Virginia Giuffre. She had a miserable marriage. And I believe that she did apparently do herself in. It's terrible. Thank you, Cesar or Caesar. Which decade was the worst this country's been through? So I would say the 2010s, maybe the 2020s. But things are, there's always an opportunity for you personally to turn around and not be affected by it. Like Lincoln Lewis said, how did any of this stuff affect you? Only in my weakness and judgment. I hurt myself on judging Obama and his dumb supporters, I hurt myself judging them. I hurt myself judging myself. The phoniness. So personally, you shouldn't be affected by the horrible state of the country. Thank you, as always, Cesar or Caesar. I was thinking about HADEN and how he thinks that the country's coming back. The whites are going to take back over and rule justly and walk humbly with God. If they don't do that, HADEN's going to need that church with JLP. But anyway, half kidding. Before air conditioning, I hated the summer, says Albert. Yeah, brutal. I really appreciate living closer to the coast than I ever have been over the last 10 years plus. And I really appreciate the non-humidity of California, because I went and visited Florida and places. Woof. I visited Oklahoma, and Austin and different places, Texas, even Kansas. Humid, muggy. Blech. But nice. Thanks, guys. 1-888-775-3773 is the number. You can call in. Some of you guys on hold, hang tight. I appreciate it. I would like to get to some stuff, though. Let me refresh over on Pilled just to make sure stuff is good. What's up, Jim in Alaska and Nicole? I am live only for the spam bots on bitshoot.com. What's up, Coffee Talk with Sandra? CTW Sandra on X. It's going to be fantastic, she says over there on the X live stream. Indeed. Indeed. And do catch American Anchor, baby. Very nice. American Anchor Baby is scheduled. Here, let me send that over to you guys. Nick, the Anchor. Oh, Lord. Can I even spell Nick? N-I-T-T. Just kidding. N-I-C-K. Stream. Okay, here we go. If we mosey on over to the HakeReport.com and peruse the news, there's some relationship news that I'd like to touch on. But let me give you a little bit of no-nonsense news, too. The Taliban is not terrorist, according to Russia. Last week, Russia shifting perspectives on the so-called terrorism front. Everything Muslim ain't terrorist, right? Last week, Russia became the first nation to recognize the Taliban, formally the Taliban government of Afghanistan, since they took power in 2021. Thanks, Biden, which is to say, thanks, Obama, right? Biden's pullout of Afghanistan, disastrous. It got lifelong Democrats to support Trump. It was that bad. Okay? Today, the Trump administration's revocation, they revoked their foreign terrorist designation. They no longer consider them foreign terrorists. This who? H-A-Y apostrophe at, A-T. New word, Tahrir al-Sham. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. I kind of like the Muslim thing. It's a little bit scary, but it's also kind of tough sounding. The Islamist militant group led by Syria's interim president will take effect today. So he's no longer calling them terrorists. He's calling them a government, which is what you have to do when they win. Which is reasonable. I think that's reasonable. And then if they act wrong, you deal with them in a respectable way. I think that's fair. Right on President Trump. And right on to Russia, too. You got to work with them. I remember, we don't negotiate with terrorists. But Trump started to negotiate, I think, a little bit with the Taliban. Because they hold the power. They won. When they win, you got to be fair and hopefully just. Nice. So I like that. I kind of like that news. Not that I know anything about it. It's crazy, these floods. The officials long have acknowledged, this is just a little bit of news, guys. Oh, man. I forgot to click my thing. Okay. Officials have long acknowledged. Wow, I spent that much time. I guess I was talking about Obama and stuff. Officials have long acknowledged that the Guadalupe River I want to see a map of this place. Guadalupe River, Texas. And then I'll get back to your calls and stuff. So there's Texas. There's Guadalupe River in Tejas. Wow, beautiful. I love that green. Okay, nice. Looks like a miniature Mississippi. If it's not that wide of a river, I guess that it could flood if something breaks or something. I don't get how rivers flood, but they do. I kind of do, but I don't totally. I guess if a lot of different stuff is different places are feeding into it. Guadalupe River. Beautiful, huh? If it's like kind of lowlands and there's steep areas here, then it can fill up quickly if it's not that big of a space, but you're kind of, say you're camped along here, along the banks. I get wanting to be down by the banks, but you want to be up from the banks. I heard that the river started to flood in one area. In like 45 minutes, the waters rose like 20 feet. So that's what somebody said. Another news report that I saw said 2 hours. Regardless, that's fast. Kerr County, Texas, or Kerr County, Texas. Steve Kerr, right? He's that liberal coach or something, former player, basketball. Same spelling, right? I always called it Steve Kerr, but I think it's Kerr. So, nice. Not. People say that they got billions of dollars, let's see, to deal with it. Oh, it's outside San Antonio, I guess. Wow. A meandering river. Interesting. Wow. Crazy. So the floods have killed over 100 people. Here, let me go real close. That's the water. How far across is that? It doesn't look that wide of a river. Like the Mississippi River is like a mile across or more, I feel like, in many areas, which is a big, wide river. But this little river, you can see it from a satellite. Explain this view, flat earthers, by the way. What, this is all weather balloon made? Weather balloons with cameras took these pictures? Because this looks like real photograph sort of a thing, flat earthers, space deniers. Explain. Sorry. Not sorry. Bear with me. But yeah, wow. Terrible. What is this? I'm going to zoom in this way. What does that say? Get out of here. Calaveras Lake. Does that mean skull? Translate. I should just ask my chat. It means skull. Lake Skull. Dang. And you know what else was happening? There was a river flood 40 years ago, or roughly. 40? Our 1987 babies, they're not 40, they're like 38. Okay, close enough. July 17th, my birthday, 1987, I turned 6. A flash flood devastated the Texas Hill Country, resulting in the deaths of 10 people, teenagers included, from a church camp. The flood triggered by a heavy rainfall from a storm system leading to the rapid rise in river levels and tragic consequences for those in affected areas. The 1987 Guadalupe. Is that a man's name or a woman's name or both? In my life, it's both. A severe flash flood occurred near Comfort, Texas. Destiny was making fun of the dead kids because he's like, you people make fun of these people's these LGBTs who's getting kicked out of the military, and you make fun of these people getting deported, and you make fun of Georgia, Florida, probably, and stuff. So we're gonna make fun of Ashley Babbitt and these dead Christians, right? Christians go to church usually. What a mess, huh? So it's not the first time it's happened. It's crazy. Mess going on in the world. What do they say though? Because they'd known a little bit about it. You blame the locals first. People are trying to blame Trump because Trump has defunded a bunch of National Weather Service and stuff. But catastrophic flooding hit Texas last week, 4th of July, 2025. Officials acknowledged the risk of flooding near the Guadalupe River. For a long time, multiple efforts to build substantial flood warning system faltered or been abandoned due to budget concerns. One neighboring county issued evacuation orders in the early hours of July 4th. Kerr County officials, or Kerr County, don't appear to have done so. Effective emergency notifications, not effective. They're under scrutiny. A series of alerts transmitted to mobile devices, cell phones, during the night of the flooding. By the way, get your Hake sticker. Slap it on the back of your phone. But then you end up doxing yourself as a Hake listener. Under scrutiny, there is both white-backed Hake stickers, and it's sort of die-cut, right? It says the Hake Report, and then the nice logo made by that one guy. Somebody made it. And then there's the clear backed sticker. You see the sort of clear, transparent, mostly transparent, kind of translucent because you can see the hint of it. But it's nice on my laptop here. TheHakeReport.com or hake.printify.me. I still get mugs and stuff. You can try Teespring again, but no promises. Back to the story. Effectiveness of emergency notifications under scrutiny. Texts were sent to devices the night of the flooding. Some people, including the mayor of Kerrville, of the hard-hit Kerrville, did not receive warnings, according to the mayor. I don't know. To date, the floods have claimed the lives of more than 100 people. Massive search underway to locate 24 others still missing. I heard they were searching and they found like 800 people. 800, if I heard correctly, on the radio coming in. Many of them like clinging to trees. Whoa. Shocking. So that's a little news update for you on that. A mess. So that's a little bit of news for you. Let's see. Worst decade? Oh, yeah, wait. Oh, that's why it took so long. I did Jesus. I just want to review what we've just been through. Lust control. Jesus washed Judas' feet. That means forgive. And you know who broke me? Who broke me down, broke my ego down a little bit. This evil ego, right? It was ego. I wanted to say James's, Jesus's, Judas's. But Lin Yen Shin. And I knew that the preferred way, it's acceptable to do Jesus's and James's and stuff like that, apostrophe S. But since it ends in the S, you don't need another S after the apostrophe. And it's better to go simpler. I learned from Lin Yen Shin. It's easier to pronounce James. It's James. It's James' phone. All right, I accept it now. I used to be like stubbornly holding on James's phone. So you don't think I'm Jame. Say my name is Jame, and so you call it James' phone. But nobody's going to confuse that. So, and we went through the worst decade. The worst decade was the last 10 minutes of the Hake report. I'm kidding around. I'm kidding around. Oh, and then the terrorists are good. Now. Okay. And then the flood. Texas, the Guadalupe River. Can I just call it flood or flooding? Or do I say floods? Lin Yan Shin. I don't know. But that's a little bit of the news. Let me just plow through just a couple more things because I gave you a couple of hints. ICE went to MacArthur Park. That's so fun and cool. I love it. You heard about that on the JLP show. If you caught it, I'd recommend it. I mentioned in Hake News that this judge claimed you can't defund Planned Parenthood, and look at this so-called judge. Indira Talwani. Nice American name. Light-skinned, I don't know what type of judge. Daughter of Manik Talwani, geophysicist. Hey, from Punjab, India. Let me find. Where are we? Where are we? Can I find it? Am I that much of a boomer? Let me just go to it. So her dad is from India, and it doesn't say necessarily about her mother. Was she appointed by Obama? Indeed she was. In 2014, U.S. District Judge for Massachusetts, appointed by Obama. She's a woman, 64 years old, from Englewood, born in Englewood, or Inglewood, I guess you could say, New Jersey. Educated at UC Berkeley and Radcliffe. Look at this gal. So she's all, you can't defund Planned Parenthood, basically. And she was a nerdy girl, probably all conceited, Latin honors, cum laude, in 1982. She's older than me. I respect my elders. But she's all, here, let me go down here. She's all, Trump, you can't enforce your policy that bars federal funding for providers primarily engaged in family planning services. Like, that's what we need. We don't need that. Reproductive health, quote unquote, and related medical care. Planned Parenthood, various Planned Parenthoods, Massachusetts, Utah, and America, so-called, sued Trump. So claiming the funding ban would lead to the closure of 200 clinics nationwide. And so you have to federally fund basically welfare and abortion. The federal government pays for it, which means we the people sort of pay for it if our money's even real, which I hear that it's not, but it doesn't mean that it should be subsidized, but it is. And this district judge, Indira Talwani, wanted to stop the enforcement of that provision for 14 days. Typical judge, so-called. Thanks, Obama. Very pro-abortion Obama. He loved supporting the women killing the children. Didn't support the women, supported the evil that the women thought that they wanted. So, what a mess. Also mess, a little bit of the gossip, the latest gossip from Commie Nonsense Network. Katy Perry, you know that once Christian singer? But she's not that Christian right now, I guess. Katy Perry, formerly known as Katie Hudson, I think. No relation to Jake that I know of. And actor Orlando Bloom, that pretty boy who played like Legolas or something like that. He was in Pirates of the Caribbean. Sort of a dirty blonde guy, and she's I don't know what. They have a daughter. They've split 3 years after announcing their engagement, and they're supposedly white, and she's supposedly Christian. I thought she did a Christian album. Her first album was Christian. Did you know? Katie Hudson. Her parents are like these liberal Christians, trendy liberal Christians. Katy Perry's parents. But what a mess, huh? White, having a daughter, of course, out of wedlock, engaged, and they've split up. Well, rest in peace to that relationship. It's probably for the best, honestly, I suppose. I don't know. There she is, and there he is. I guess he's not dirty blonde anymore. He's pretty dark brown haired. He looks older than I remember. I guess she's like my age, I want to say. Roughly. So, nice. They're a mess. And by the way, Kelly Clarkson, another singer woman, sings all kinds of great pop songs of American Idol fame. She's not going to have her Las Vegas residency, and she's devastated to have to postpone it. But if you have a Las Vegas residency, that means you're kind of a has-been. You're sort of washed up. You don't have anything new going on. So you just stay in Vegas for a while, or you I don't know if you reside there, but you frequently have concerts regularly in Vegas. I went and saw Diana Ross there. She's so cool. But she's, you could say past her prime. Diana Ross. And of course Kelly Clarkson is past her prime. She's done really great. And so everybody wants to go see her. And now you have a chance to, but now you don't. She's devastated. There were some other people who were going to have like a residency in there, and I was making fun of them for it because that means that they're washed up. They're still popular. Everybody wants to see them. That's why they have a residency. But they're not doing anything new. Nice. Okay, so that's your little bit of news. Pop culture news. Courtesy of Hake. You heard of these people? What did I just say? What did I just talk about? Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, Planned Parenthood judge, Obama judge. Not very American in her mindset, but kind of Americanized, honestly. I wonder what these judges, what these Indian women are pretty feminist, by the way, I hear. How can she slap? Talwani, right? What was her name? Let's see. I have it written down. Indira Talwani. Nice American name. Not. I got to get back to some calls, but hang on. Pop culture relationships news. Katy Perry. It should be Katie Bloom, but she didn't marry him. And Kelly Clarkson. That's why I only listen to Christian music. 90-Pound Wuss never does anything wrong, except kind of be a Trump hater. So let me get to William in Arkansas. Is it? William, are you there? William.
Yes, sir.
Hey, good. Thanks for calling and holding, man. Is it for?
Yeah, no problem.
Is this your first time calling?
It is. Yeah, I've been listening for probably like 7 years. Nice, before you had your own show.
Oh, right on.
Never called in, but good to call in and chat with you.
Yeah, what an honor.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. But out of respect for the audience and everything, I didn't have too much to talk about. I just had one quick thing I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was checking to see if anybody had talked about it on your show.
Oh, cool.
Or Jesse's show, but I wasn't sure if anybody did. But really interesting. I thought this was so cool. Like in the last few days, we all know, Dana White and President Trump have a pretty tight relationship. They've had a relationship going back to the 90s. And I remember at one point, the UFC could not get a venue where they could do their show. and Trump was like, "Hey, come on down to the Trump Taj Mahal." They did some shows there, and Trump even had his own promotion with his former attorney. It was called Affliction, and they only did 2 shows, but it was 2 of the best. I'm a big fan. It was 2 of the best shows you would ever get. They brought in Russian fighters that Dana White could never get. Like, somehow Donald Trump he works the magic. He made a lot of fights that nobody could make happen. Well, anyways, I just want to say that because that relationship has got them to a point where now they're talking about doing UFC fights at the White House. Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that, and I think that's awesome. I do.
So do I.
I don't really watch UFC a little bit. It sort of reminds me of, it came out in the 90s when I was in like a senior in high school, I want to say. It was when I started hearing about it a lot from my friends. Ultimate Fighting Championships, they called it, right? And it has long reminded me, and not just that, but basketball, football, and all that, of gladiators and bread and circuses and entertainment and like a populace that's all into entertainment and letting the country go. But UFC people seem like quality people oftentimes. Dana White seems like a white history hero, actually, honestly.
I would agree.
Because of what he's
built.
Agree.
And I would even say possibly future president.
Wow. Never even crossed my mind. And, and being at the White House is kind of funny, too. It's kind of mixing the politics and entertainment that Rome did before Rome's fall, But even still, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm a little squeamish about people injuring themselves and stuff like that. But they have rules, and they fight safe, protect yourself, stuff like that. They want people that... I don't like the slap stuff that he does, because he's gotten behind this professional slapping, and it just looks like you're shaking your brain up, and I don't like that. But it was funny. It was funny when I first saw it, but I'm like, oof. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like black people. It's like, it's definitely entertaining,
right.
But I kind of disavow it. But I was thinking about that. Like, it's kind of crazy. We're going to have people getting knocked out on the White House lawn. Then I thought to myself, well, we've seen people burn themselves alive on the White House lawn, so this is actually, free Palestine,
right?
But and at first, I'll be honest, because I don't really like mixing my sports. It's like mixing work and pleasure. You know what I mean?
Mixing sports with politics. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a big NBA guy my whole life, bro. I could name every NBA roster going back to like 1982.
Yeah.
Used to collect the cards and everything.
That's
play
awesome.
all the video games. Would go to the games, but then they started putting BLM on the cards. So I'm like, okay, so you don't want my business anymore.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
I'm out.
Yeah.
No, it's not quite the same with this because they're not like putting their own politics in your face. It's just like, oh, here's Trump in the audience. So it's not like a big deal.
Right.
But I thought about like maybe doing it in the White House. Maybe that's not like, maybe that's almost, maybe we're getting to like idiocracy stuff,
Right.
Because I gotta logically like think about it. Does this make sense? But then I realized they're doing it for 4th of July.
Oh.
They're doing it for 4th of July.
So that'll be next year?
4th of July. Yeah, it's the 250th anniversary of America. So, I mean, you got to do something, right?
Yeah.
You got to do something.
And something that people will want to see.
Yeah. And you could really, there's a heavyweight guy out of Britain named Tom Aspinall, and he's the current champ. And then we have our guy, John Jones, who's been like the champ for many years.
Yeah.
They could do like an America versus Great Britain, 1776 type of deal. Hopefully, we could end up losing this time, though, to be fair.
Right.
But that's the fun about it. And I think, because it's the anniversary and the 4th of July falls on a Saturday, that's the day they always do events. I think it's all just going to align, and it's really going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And also, if people aren't really familiar with the sport, I mean, I know we talked about how they're friends, Dana White and Donald Trump and so forth, but
right.
The whole sport is kind of right wing, top to bottom. So if you're looking for something and you think all the sports are woke and gay or whatever so-called gay,
yep.
get into UFC because it's not even really pushed at all. I remember a few years ago, the NFL put an ad out and they said, the NFL is gay, and everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
The UFC doesn't do that.
That's true. That's a great point, man. And you know what?
Yeah.
You mentioned Idiocracy. That's a movie, right? I saw it.
Yeah.
That's liberal propaganda. You know, a lot of idiots support Trump, but the idiots are wiser than the people who are wise in their own eyes. And so a lot of the Trump supporters, they are less educated or they may fall for the flat earth and different things like that. They're also much more sensible in a moral sense and in the basics of life sense. They own their own homes, they work, they invest, they are responsible, and they want America to be responsible. And so a lot of it is sort of a propaganda, because entertainment is valuable. If it weren't valuable, there wouldn't be so much money in it. It's a false value. You know, it's a worldly value, we'll call it, I guess. But if you're entertaining, then there's something in you that draws people to you. Or if you have something that's entertaining, it's drawing people. And there's value in the attention of people. That's why there's all these advertisements on all these things that everybody wants to see. That's why even though the advertisers have banned and the banks have banned entertaining people like Nick Fuentes, the crowds still come to see Nick Fuentes, and they try to debank Kanye and Trump and stuff like that, and yet the people still want to see Kanye and Trump, or yay. And so and part of what is entertaining is the truth. Tucker once said, the truth is thrilling. He wrote that about Trump back in 2015 or 2016 in like a Politico article. And that's true. Like it's refreshing and thrilling to hear the truth. So and UFC not falling for the liberal agenda so much as these other so-called professional sports do. Black Lives Matter, breast cancer, feminism. not that breast cancer is a liberal thing, but the Komen for the Cure, they support abortion, and it's feminist, and it's making the men wear pink. Let's be honest.
Well, if you abort them, they can't ever get breast cancer.
Right. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I think that let's have because we have balance, right? Trump is a man who is both responsible, but he's also entertaining. UFC guy, Dana White, he's both responsible, he's taking care of his health better, and yet he's and he has this business. It's very entertainment oriented, and sometimes these guys get hurt, but he wants to tamp that down. It's both not good for business, it's also not good for people, and that's good for building up civilization and society and jobs for people and all kinds of stuff. AI, never mind. I'm not going to get into AI. I don't know anything about AI.
Let me ask you a kind of about Dana White, if I may, just kind of secondary question of what we were talking about, because I mentioned, maybe he would be president one day.
Yeah.
Now, personally, like I've been a fan of UFC since I used to watch with my grandpa when I was a kid, and on the Scrambler box, if you remember those.
The Scrambler box.
Get all the pay-per-view. Yeah, get all the pay-per-views for free.
Oh,
don't tell anybody
I
do that. Yeah, but cable guy hooked us up back then. I've got my personal gripes with him. There's certain things I do like. I mean, he's a promoter, right? So he's like Don King. He's gonna say things to get you excited, and then he's gonna go back on it and stuff. But I will say this, man: when he goes to the rallies, he's freaking electric. He lights up the stage. I would say maybe even more than Trump.
Wow.
Because he's younger, he'll get a standing ovation every single time. And I mean, he's kind of sounds like he's yelling, but you could argue he's just so energetic because he's so excited, for what's happening, taking back the country and so forth. And I don't know, man, what do you think about that? Do you think that's something possible if he decided to do that type of thing? If he decided to run, do you think he could ever win?
Based on what you're telling me, it sounds like he could. I wasn't aware of any of this of what you're telling me. I saw my only glimpses of him have been, oh, it's that guy that looks kind of like Joe Rogan, but he's like Joe Rogan's boss in terms of UFC type stuff because he's the one who founded it, I guess, or built it. And I saw him at the rally a little bit at one of the Trump either rallies or inauguration or something. He had a nice little showing, but I've never really paid close attention to him. So I'll have to pay closer attention.
I could be glazing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like to buy stock low and then I go all in on it, right? I try to get other people excited about it.
Yeah.
So that could be what it is too. It's like, oh man, you got to like this guy because he could be the next big thing. But he's never actually said he had any political aspirations. Probably nothing, but it's just something I was thinking because I'm thinking when Trump's gone, where do we kind of look to? Marco Rubio?
No, hopefully not. I mean, maybe these people snap out of it. That's why I really like JLP and Trump is those men have helped snap people out of their stupor a little bit. Like Jesus did. He snapped people out of it because they were in a stupor. They were asleep. And those men help wake people up, and maybe Dana White can help with that type of a thing too, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Well, that's all I had, man.
Great call. I appreciate it, William. We'll talk again
I appreciate
someday.
All right.
All right.
All right. God bless, man.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. And Justin in Fullerton, California is on the line over here. Justin, thanks for calling and holding. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks for taking my call.
Nice. Of course.
Would it be all right if I asked you the question of eternal life? Like, what is it, Hake?
I think it's real life. Whatever is from God. That's all I know. That's all. That's my best answer.
All right. Can I read a scripture from the Bible real quick in the book of John, chapter 17, verse 4?
Yeah, 1 through 4, you said?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound too bad. Let's hear it.
You can read it in context later.
Yeah.
I encourage everyone to. It says, I have glorified thee on earth. I have finished the work which thou hast givest me to do. Well, let me just do it. Let me just try to read the whole thing. So chapter 17, verse 1. Okay, so it says, these words spake Jesus and lifted his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour is come. Glorify thy Son, that thy Son also may glorify thee, as thou hast given him power over all flesh, that he should give eternal life to as many as thou hast given him. And this is eternal life, that they may know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. And then I have glorified thee on earth. I have finished the work which thou gavest me to do. So I read that today and thought, wow, I've never even pondered on the notion, but God literally just spoke to me without a thought, and I just got it. Eternal life is right now. If I know God, if I'm with God, it begins now.
That's cool, man. Right on. Thanks for sharing that passage. And that's where Jesus was talking to God.
He had a prayer directly
A
to
prayer
God.
to God.
He had a prayer
as documented by John, the
He
disciple.
prayed for us.
The disciple whom Jesus loved.
Yeah, so he prayed for us even before he died.
Yeah. Nice, man. If we're among those who God has given to him. Whom?
He's given them all.
Yeah.
God gave Jesus all, his son. So for us who put our faith in him, eternal life doesn't begin when we die. It's right now.
To know him. If you know God, you have eternal life.
God.
A lot of us don't know him though. Because, like later John in another book says anyone who sins has neither seen God nor known God. So there's a lot of people who think that they know God, but they don't.
All have sinned, and they fall short, the Bible says, of that glory of God.
Yeah.
So yeah, think of the Bible's mentioning, and I don't know where it's at, but I know you probably know it. I probably read it in Sunday school. But Lucifer, he fell as a beautiful angel, and then all of a sudden we talk about Satan. So who's Satan? Who's that? And obviously we say it's the same, but it's different. It's when he knew God when he was Lucifer, this beautiful, powerful angel. And when pride got in, when sin got in, he didn't know him, and he fell. And on earth, which is he's now called also a prince of the air. So I think we should worship the Prince of Peace and draw near to him. And today we have a taste of eternal life. And when we pass away, when this flesh goes away, we get to go exactly where Jesus said his Father's at, if we put our faith and follow, his words.
So
that's all I wanted to say.
So you said pride is sin.
Yeah, all sin is pride. So you can dissect it in micro eyes sin, but it's all relative based on pride. You can't have sin without pride. It was the first sin. It's what separated Lucifer from God. That's why I don't believe that God made some evil devil, some evil. Why would he make, all of this beautiful thing, No, it's similar to Adam when he sinned and he separated himself from God and he had to be clothed to then recognize not his wickedness, but his nakedness. And that sinfulness is what we get a taste of, or we could get close to God, get in the Word and begin our eternal life experience right now.
That's interesting because Adam and Eve had shame, and shame is pride.
Yep.
Same
they
thing.
wouldn't have had it though, unless the pride even started where she said to begin with, I want to taste this whatever this fruit was. I don't know if it was an apple, but a fruit.
Yeah,
and
the fruit of the knowledge of the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and you
not of God, not so much to know God, but to just have that
knowledge of good and evil apart from God. Huh? And you'll be like God. Well, it was a prideful temptation that you'll be like God.
Well, isn't that what Lucifer did when he looked in the mirror and said, "I'm the beautifulest, most powerful angel that leads all these angels"?
Is that a true story that he did that?
Yeah, somewhere in the Bible. I just don't want to misquote it.
I feel like that might be in one of like an apocryphal book, not necessarily the Bible itself.
Maybe.
But
no, there was a war. There was a war in heaven. 2/3 of again, God exists outside of time.
Yeah.
I'm only going to experience, and God willing, more. But you and all the people listening, or your callers too, are only going to have about 75 seasons, 75 birthdays, 75 summers, 75 springs, 75 falls. So God,
plus or minus.
God,
if
plus
that.
or minus. And the women will have a little longer, maybe 100 or something.
I want 110 or 20. I don't want to die. But yeah, I get you, man. I like that, man. You said something that also I wanted to follow up about, but I don't really necessarily remember what it was, and it wasn't as important as the pride question that I had. Right on, man. Thank you for sharing that. I like that.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day, and I hope eternal life definitely grows in your life. You're definitely a good person on the show, and keep on keeping on.
Thanks as always, Justin. Always appreciate hearing from you. Call me again sometime if you please, if you like.
Thank you.
All right. Nice. Oh, he got me with the click, Lord. I deserved that. I should have clicked him a long time before that. Anyway, Robert in Kansas on the line over here. Robert, thank you for calling and holding. You're live.
Hey, Mr. Hake, I don't even know what's going on anymore, man. You keep me on hold for...
What?
I mean, I don't know why you're...
What?
But it is. No, it's okay.
You remind me of Mark in Los Angeles. You better get to the point.
Mark is a legend at this point, right?
He really is, but he's so petty too.
Listen,
it's amusing how petty he is. He's entertaining. He's like black.
No, I'm not. Hey, I'm black. Hey, listen.
I know you're black.
Bro. Like I'm black as can be. So I want to say first of all, hey, thank you, sir, for letting me on your show, and I'll be as brief as I can be, and you can hang up anytime. I want to say shout out to the flat Earth Nazi coon, the producer Derrick, and I want to let him know that the flat Earth Nazi coon alliance is growing. Okay, so love Derrick, and
If I love
Yeah,
anybody, I love Derrick.
Hey, listen, Derrick is a handsome, smart young man, and I hope
Didn't
that
he look great with the patch?
That I don't know. Hey, I don't know what that is. I would probably just take it off of him and slap him around. But
He didn't have a black eye under it. He had a normal eye.
Did Jesse give him a black eye? Because did he say the wrong thing? He talked about the Jews, huh? Okay.
Anyway.
Hey, so I called in about something, right?
You did.
The
Texas floods.
Storm. Yeah, the storms in Texas. So, Hake, the idea, like, and I know it's a conspiracy theory, but there's an idea that, like, maybe we have a certain technology such that we can, like, inspire the weather. We can
a weather dominator.
Help.
Yep.
Well, no, like maybe we can even control the weather with, I don't know how it works, brother, like frequencies or, whatever they do. I'm not the scientist that figured out how to control weather, but it does seem like we have the capacity to, let's say, stall a storm in an area and have it rain and flood. Like if you wanted to do that to an area, and I don't, and you say, well, hey, Robert, that's, who are you to say that? And it's like, well, I'm nobody, but I see what they are doing with like Hurricane Katrina, right? Like under George Bush. Like, let's say you had the capacity technologically where you could just stop a storm where it is and let it just rain, right? Like you could just let it rain right there because you have that technology.
Okay.
Right. So weather weapons, right? Like if you can use a weather weapon, no matter what it is, it would be the ultimate concealment of your activity, such that you could just say, well, no, it's just this tornado or just this flood or just this earthquake, whatever, right? Like you have, was his name Samuel Cohen? The guy in 1999, Cohen, he was the Secretary of State, or what was he? William Cohen. William Cohen said, we have weather weapons and we have technology that can set off earthquakes.
Nice.
Right? So, hey, if they can set off earthquakes, brother, do you not think they can project energy into the sky such that they could control the nature of things, right? So if they can just flood an area like that, like let's say they want to get rid of Malibu or Maui, Hawaii, right?
Uh-huh.
They set it on fire, right? They can set things on fire. They can flood it. They can freeze it, right? Like Texas had all those freezings that happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So like
you're thinking that so what are you? I'm following you. You're saying you're suggesting that the government, I guess, can
the Jews,
the Jews.
Yeah.
How are they so inventive that they're controlling our weather and just making these catastrophes?
The money, right? No, they own the money, right? They own the money. So if anybody works for something, they work for money, right? So if you own the money, you can support Israel, right? Because you own the money. But then, you look at Iran and you're like, we're going to take Iran. And then the people who are in the Pentagon are like, you actually can't take Iran, just like you couldn't take the Taliban, right? So you were going to take the Taliban, right?
You have a minute. Less than a minute, actually. 30 seconds.
And then, okay, so what I hope, Hake, is that what this eventually leads to in terms of what they're doing now is the absolute destruction of false Israel, right? So
by way of weather?
By way of Iran and the Muslims basically attacking them until they're gone.
So you want to do to the Jews what they're saying that the Jews are doing to us, is using the Muslims to destroy us. And so you want to use the Muslims to destroy Israel. I disavow that, man. But I got to go. Nice talking with you, Robert in Kansas. Take care.
Well, hey, hold on.
No, I got to go. Peace in the Middle East. Or at least in your hearts. Bye, guys.
What is real Israel? What is real Israel, Hake? It's the white
I'm
race.
hanging up.
Okay, it's the white race. Okay, that's who real Israel is. Okay, bye.
Bye. Anchor Baby's streaming from home, so okay, bye guys. Take care.